Hello, I'm Roger from the Skill Builder channel. Welcome to another one of my rants. Now this time I'm going to be ranting about climate change, and don't worry, I'm not going to say that climate change is a myth. I believe that climate change exists. So there you are, I put that on record straight away. I was one of the first people in this country to have a condensing boiler in their home. When they first came out, I was on to the manufacturers. I said, I really want one of those, I really like those. Before they really got them up and running, before they got them into production, I had one in my home and they kept phoning me up saying, how's it going, how's it going? And actually it went terribly. It was too early, it was too soon. A company called TriSave, they went bust because it was an unreliable technology. But it just shows you, what I'm trying to say to you is I care about the planet and I am an early adopter. What I don't like is climate change protests, because although I can understand that we're going to draw attention to these things, blocking up London, putting some stupid boat on Westminster Bridge, Emma Thompson flying back from Los Angeles, from her birthday party in Los Angeles, to join the climate protesters and say we've got to change, all that is a complete waste of time. So are all these meetings that they have where they sign up to carbon neutral future by 2050. Is that ever going to happen? Britain going to go carbon neutral by 2050? I don't think it's going to happen. I won't be around to see whether it does or not. If I was a betting man, I'd put bets on it not happening. A politician stood up in Parliament and announced that we would be getting rid of gas boilers, that gas boilers are terrible things and that we'd do away with them and we'd have to heat our homes with electricity and heat pumps and solar power and all the rest of it. Now, he'd obviously been out to lunch with a couple of experts and they'd plied him with a few drinks and he got a little bit carried away and went, oh yeah, filthy gas boilers. Now, we know that 35% of the carbon that's produced in this country is from heating homes. If we can do anything about reducing those carbon emissions in our home heating, it'll make a massive difference. So we're doing things like better insulation, draft proofing and all that kind of thing. We've got better boilers, obviously condensing boilers, but it's not doing enough to bring us anywhere near those targets. So the people that talk about abandoning gas boilers are actually living in cloud cuckoo land. One thing, running electricity supplies into all those hard to heat homes, which are the ones which aren't so well insulated and draft proofed, all the old properties that we've got in this country, even the ones that were built in the early 1900s, are nowhere near. In fact, you go right up to 1960 and you won't find energy efficient houses. So that's a huge housing stock to upgrade and try to bring into any kind of modern standards. Believe me, it's not going to happen. We're just never going to be able to make those energy efficient houses so good that we can use things like heat pumps on them. I've installed heat pumps and they work very, very well if you've got a well insulated house. They work very, very well in the spring. They work very well in the autumn. But in the middle of winter, you need some extra heat in your house. That's going to come from electricity if you're not on a mains gas supply. But I would say if you are on a mains gas supplier, forget that air source heat pump and hook up to the gas. Now, the good news is, the reason I know that gas boilers won't be disappearing, so relax all you gas fitters out there who are worried about this, oh, what am I going to do for a living? It's not going to happen. You don't have to worry because the technology is already there to produce hydrogen boilers. In fact, Baxi, Worcester Bosch, Wiesmann have already started down this road of producing hydrogen boilers. Now, hydrogen is a very plentiful fuel on this planet, and where does it come from? This is where some of it comes from. Water. 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. There's a hell of a lot of hydrogen in this world. They reckon that we will never ever run out of it, not in the history of mankind anyway. So it's a very plentiful supply and we can extract it. But we need to find ways of extracting it which are safe, which are carbon neutral. Now that could ironically be wind power, solar power that is used to heat hydrogen, to separate it, if you like, into a usable form. The other problem, of course, with hydrogen is you've got to transport it. It's a very volatile fuel. It's 3 times more energy efficient, if you like, than a given quantity of natural gas. So if you look at a cubic metre of gas, natural gas, hydrogen is 3 times as efficient. So that means you can use less of it. It means you can transport it a lot more easily through pipes, but those pipes cannot be stilled because there's something called hydrogen embrittlement, which means that those pipes just become brittle and fracture, and that causes all kinds of problems in all kinds of things. So we have to get over that. We can transport it through the plastic pipes, so all the plastic pipes that would be laid on the gas mains are fine. The copper pipes in our houses are fine. It's just any bits of iron that are in there will rust away and become brittle if we run hydrogen through them for any length of time. But those boilers are already underway. They've worked out a lot of the technology. They've overcome a lot of the early problems with them, such as stabilizing the flame, and they're going to make those boilers so that they can run on natural gas. And when we change over to hydrogen, as some people predict we will eventually, it's just a quick tweak of that boiler by an engineer and it'll be ready to burn the hydrogen. So as our present boilers give up the ghost and we start putting in hydrogen boilers, by the time we want to do the old switcheroo, then we'll all be ready to do it. It won't require some mass changeover of gas boilers or anything like that. It's going to be a nice, gentle transition. Now, that's 30 odd percent, 35% of our fuel is coming from our houses. But the rest of it, you know where it's coming from. I just thought I'd do a little bit of drawing because I know people love my art. The rest of it comes from road transport, and that is a problem that we've got to solve because electric cars, in my opinion, are not going to do it totally. It might be better for the environment in terms of the air quality, but it does have serious issues. Half the problem we got, or most of the problem we got on this planet, is not producing clean energy, because we can produce it with wind turbines, we can produce it with solar panels, we've got sea power, we've got all kinds of things, we've got hydroelectric power, waterfalls. The big problem we have is storing the electricity, and I'm afraid lithium-ion batteries are so volatile and they're not environmentally friendly really, so they won't ever fill the gap. Luckily, again, there's technology there already in development, are seawater batteries. Yeah, you heard it here. Seawater batteries using something as simple as salt to produce a battery which I reckon will be 6 times more effective than the lithium-ion batteries and cheaper. So that's a great leap forward, but it still won't get our trucks and our buses onto electricity. For them, we've got to look at hydrogen fuel cells. We heat our homes with hydrogen, we run our lorries and our buses with hydrogen, and we'll even run our aeroplanes with hydrogen. Now, the big issue that I've got with Greta Thunberg, well-meaning kid, I'm not knocking Greta at all. I think her heart's in the right place. She's trying to do something, but what she could do, the most useful thing she could do, is go back to school. Because if she went back to school and studied to be a scientist rather than spending her time being a protester, she would change something. Because protests haven't really changed very much in the entire history of mankind. Okay, suffragettes had a good run. They can be singled out as one of the few, really. What achieves change is science and technology. So, Greta, if you go back to school and become a scientist, and you help us, rather than protesting and offering no solutions other than to just stop flying, stop using cars, stop enjoying yourself. I mean, what you're saying to the developing world is, oh, we've had a great time, haven't we? We've used all the technology we needed and we've got lovely heated homes. And you're saying to them, you can't do that now. Because of the time you're born, you've got to give up. You've got to give up your aspirations for travelling the world, for owning a motor car, for heating your home, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's a bit like saying to somebody who's got loads of kids, you know what you've got to do? You've got to give up sex. That's never going to happen. What you need to do is you need to say to him, here mate, here's a condom. That's going to do it. That's going to save you having any more kids. Technology. It's the technology, not the abstinence, that works every time. So, as much as I love your ideals and your ideas, except Emma Thompson, who I think is a complete hypocrite, travelling the world in a jet plane and telling us to stop, and another hypocrite, Prince Charles. When I went down to Poundbury, which is the little model village that he's built down in Dorset there, the builders were saying to me, the guy pitched up in a blooming helicopter. Can't be bothered to go along the blooming roads, you know, and join the queue of traffic that's all the lorries that are supplying to the site that he's building all these lovely homes on. He just flies in a helicopter, walks around, says a few things, meets a couple of builders, and then off he goes. Complete hypocrisy. We don't need that kind of bullshit in society. We need doers rather than people that just talk about it. People like me just talking, that's no good. You need hands-on technology, people that can change the world through applying their brains, their science and their will to the problem. All the great engineers of the past who have made this world go forward have been doers. I'm Roger Bisbee. I hope you found that interesting and useful. Do come back and see me soon. I'll have another rant for you. I might have 2, 3. The thing about ranting is it is addictive.